So I had punctured a capillary in the freezer, cold plate, and was using coolers just to get by. And while I figured out what my plan was, so I drove my van back up from Baja. I was down there for like 6 months while I was doing little trips down there, and I had a 12-volt fridge freezer combo in there that I brought onto the boat, and that was a better temporary arrangement. And I decided to try to repair it, even though, you know, it's a low chance of success. So I sanded down that area. I sanded off the epoxy around where I punctured it, and I ran a vacuum, like a vacuum, like a 12-volt clean your house kind of vacuum on it while I was working, just to make sure none of the dust went into the capillaries. And mixed up some JB weld and puttied it over that area, made sure I didn't push in too hard, and let that set a few days. And then my buddy Antonio, who turns out he's really smart, I didn't know that. He came down to my boat, offered to help, and he put on these glasses and pulled out a bunch of stuff he printed on the internet, and just like, wow, look at you go. And he bought a vacuum pump and some attachments and refrigerant, and put the vacuum on it, and it held. So it was sucking, and nothing was being sucked in through that hole that all the refrigerant had escaped from. So that gave us enough confidence to add the refrigerant. And we added a couple ounces with the compressor running, and it took it, and no leaks. But the compressor was just running full time, which troubleshooting meant that there just wasn't enough refrigerant. We didn't know how much to put in because couldn't find any specs for that compressor. And plate hose combo, so we kept adding it. I think we got close to 3 ounces, and we were doing it. He had it on a scale, and we were trying to measure, you know, the weight that was being removed from the can as it was being taken up by the refrigeration system. Anyway, it works great. It works awesome. I left it running for 3 days just to make sure it wasn't a very short-lived excitement, but it held great. Went grocery shopping, loaded it up. Yes, it's been, I don't know, I think 3 weeks now. No problems. And I'm stoked because right before this happened, I had set up these clear bins in there to organize the food. It's a top load. So top loads are cool because when you open the door, you know, cold air sinks. So all the cold in there doesn't pour out like you would if you opened a fridge from the front or a freezer from the front, where the air just like wants to sink. So that is cool, but it's really hard to access stuff. So you end up like digging or pulling things out, and things get lost. You sometimes find things that you should have been thrown away a long time ago. So I set up these bins that make it a lot easier to stack stuff where it doesn't get lost, and then access things. You can pull one tray out at a time, or, you know, shuffle stuff around. Pretty easy. So it's working great. I'm stoked. On one side, I have a tray kind of suspended halfway between the vertical space of the fridge, and I drilled some holes in this little plastic bin and set a battery operated 9-volt battery operated fan to pull the cold air up. So it keeps it rotating and cycling, and my temperatures at the top and bottom are dead on exactly the same. So that's working out well. So fridge problem solved. And there's plenty of other problems, so I'm not lost as far as what to do next. One thing that was still ongoing was the rigging. So I have this really cool friend here, 15-year-old girl, who just shreds at sailing. Has been mentored by a bunch of the more experienced sailors here, and she did the jib sheets, reused the existing shackles from the old jib sheets, because those were like $200 a piece. So soaked them in CLR and got them working again. Spliced on new jib sheets. Did a new main halyard with Dyneema core. She spliced that onto the previous hardware. Main sheet, boom vang control and primary, and the outhaul control. And so she took off on a trip with her family, and I finished up just running some of the stuff, and I really wanted to get out sailing. I hadn't been out in a few months. I'd gone out into the harbor basin and anchored and just grilled and had fun out there with my friends and kids, but I hadn't actually sailed on this boat. So even though the wind forecast was sad, it was like 8 to 9 knots max, I still wanted to get out, and so I grabbed my Jenniker, and which hadn't been out since last summer, and made sure there's no rats living in the bag, and it's in a sock, which makes it easy for me because I'm always single-handed. Not always, but usually single-handed. Even if I have a friend or my kids with me, I still am usually the only one that halfway knows what they're doing. I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. But they are often either unwilling or just not interested in being hands-on. So anyways, yeah, at least it was sailable, and tested out the rigging in light winds, very light, but got moving, even went for a little dunk in the water. And yeah, it's just a lot of there's a lot of setup. I guess just not sailing for a few months, you get kind of a little too comfortable, so a lot of stuff in the interior had to get rearranged and shuffled around. Been organizing anyways, putting things in baskets and removing things that weren't necessary, and I'm trying to create more empty space for provisions, so that when it is time to do a longer trip, there's already places for the things. Before, all the cabinets were full, and so when there was like a 2-week trip, there was just bags and bags of stuff on the floor, and just tuck it away in the aft head. So it'll be nice to have the space for it. But yeah, to get ready to move the dinghy, remove the canopy, unplug from shore power. There's just pull out sheets, just the standard stuff. But it's been a while, so there were more things to put away. But it went good, and I'm looking forward to getting out with some real wind and actually going somewhere. It's kind of sad, just sail out, turn around, sail back. But anyways, so fridge is done. A lot of organization has been done. I'll share more of that later. And the boat is back on the water. We're back. All right, well, that's all I got for you.